And just like that, here we are, Season 3, Episode 10, Better Than Sex. And all I have to say is, I told you so. I told you so. I told you so. And if you've seen this episode already, then you know why I'm repeating it 3 times. So, let's begin. So, I'm going to do this a little different. Today, part 1 will be dedicated to Carrie and Duncan the Hobbit, because it is the most important part. Not to say that this episode did not include the other ones, but Ding Dong number 1 is going to get her time in the light for my first part of the video. So, as I do always, I do this in 2 parts. Normally, I take care of the honorable mentions and then the other 2 Ding Dongs, Miranda and Charlotte. And then I give part 2 to Carrie and her chronicles. But today is special. Today we're going to go through Carrie first, because there's a lot of things that happen that I also want to address and correct as we go through this video. So please be patient. If my eye is watery, it's because it's allergies. So if you see it through the camera, I do apologize. Sometimes I will be tearing, not crying, not ugly crying, but I am suffering from allergies today. So, are you ready? Let's begin. Scene open. It is now autumn. Fall. We have passed through the summer. And now I believe, I don't want to say it's September. It seems more like October, only because I've seen the preview for the next episode, which is going to be a Thanksgiving theme. So they're running through this very, very quickly. Okay. So let's pretend that we're in October or the late September. We have Carrie sitting in front of her computer writing, and you can get a sense from what she's writing that she's memorializing her failed relationship with Aiden from the last episode. As she is collecting her chapters, you have her walking through her home, and she's doing her monologue about that she has gotten past the fact that she's not going to have the family that she thought was going to be part of her home, and that she's letting it go. And that the last couple of lines that she writes, and she speaks out in her narrative voice, I did all I could. I did all I could. I did all I could. Which is a reference to how much time and effort that she put into the relationship with Aiden, under the impression that this was going to work out. As she reaches one of her rooms, Duncan, the Hobbit, is waiting for her as he's reading that chapter, and he looks up and he is so mesmerized by the fact that she used that term 3 times in her chapter, and it shows the expression of how much that she had given, or the character in her book had given, to said relationship. And that it emphasizes the fact that she is coming to terms with the fact that this is not going to work out. And he is blown away on the way that she utilized this in her book. And that he was also impressed. Well, she did say, was it too much? And he says, absolutely not. Of course, because nothing that Carrie writes is wrong. And then he also makes the expression, or he says to her, I also like the fact that the male person that was going to be in this character's life, how he returned back from battle, from war. I presume it must be the war, the World War I, or the Civil War. Apologize, Civil War. And that only to die, it's coming, from his wounds from the previous battle. Only to die from the wounds from his previous battle. I'm going to say it one more time. Only to die from the wounds of his previous battle. If that's not Aiden, I don't know what is. So he loves that little, part of the book. So she's all giddy and gay as always. And he starts to mention that this is Scotch worthy. And she's impressed that her book or that chapter is Scotch worthy because they hadn't had a Scotch worthy rendition of her book for a while. As he gets up to make Scotch very comfortably in her bar, because please understand that he has now infiltrated her home and he knows where the bar is and he knows that he's going to make Scotch for her. I picked up on that too. We've gotten a lot closer, people. As he's making the Scotch and they're talking about how fast that she's going through these chapters since the said Aiden fallout. You know, he mentions that the last time that he was pumping out these chapters in his own book, it was more cocaine filled. Yeah, I heard that. Did you hear that? I'm guessing from this whole episode that this is the fun Duncan that Samantha had mentioned in the phone text sequence a couple of episodes ago, because he's very fun and she wants to be under him because he was very lighthearted and fun, more so than I've seen in any other episode prior. So, you know, he does correct her on one of her chapters. And again, since we don't really know what's happening as far as what the book is entailing, it's obviously based on her own situation. He corrects her about some lavender that she wrote in the book. I don't know what that means. And then she corrects him by saying, and I want to get this correct. I don't think she says something that she doesn't want to change it. And then he goes, well, what do I know? I only have 5 best-selling books. And then she turns, well, I have 7. And then he says, well, mine are 700 pages long. And then she says, well, yours is already written, being that it's a biography. So there's not a lot of work on his end that he needs to do because it's just repeating what history has already provided to him versus her books that she has to actually put in thought because it's, you know, not biography. Okay. Listen, that interchange between them was stupid because at the end of the day, she is writing about herself. Whether she wants to admit it or not, all that she's doing is her version of her in 1840, whatever that is. Now, obviously, she has to do some research, which then again, I keep asking, where is the research being done? But I guess because they're in the writing group thingy, that they're correcting each other as best as they could. And he is probably very knowledgeable because he has 5 best-selling 700 pages long of books, which, by the way, wow, 700 pages? I know War and Peace is a very long book. I have never been able to finish it. Hell, I haven't even been able to finish the movie version of it. And I love documentaries. Just so you know, I can sit down and watch that all day long. And I have. I have the New York City documentary from Ken Burns. I think Ken Burns does a really good job. So I'm a big fan of Ken Burns. I've watched a lot of the BBC documentaries on London, British, the Queen, the $1 Million Princess. Like if I find something like that, I definitely do watch it. Reading it will depend, because reading for me, I fall asleep. It's just something that's innate. So even if I do it as a audio, I could literally fall asleep, but I like the visual aspect of documentaries because I like to see the pictures. I like to see what they include. You know, I like that. That's why I work really hard to give you guys a visual in my videos, not just me speaking. I think that's important. But that 700 pages is pretty impressive. So of course that doesn't really impress Carrie because, you know, she has 7 books. And she's popular. Okay, great. As the cutesy, flirty exchange happens, at the end of that scene, he decides that maybe he is taking too long because apparently he's behind. Because remember, he's only here 6 months. And in 6 months, he's supposed to be digging through, finishing it, sending it to his editor, and getting the book out. This is not a 1,000-year journey like LTW. Okay? You got that? So as he's walking out, he says, I don't know what's taking me so long, but he tells Carrie, you did good. Okay. And she's all, I can literally hear the Snow White theme with the animals coming to her as she's just like, next scene. Now, this scene is including Samantha 2.0, which I have lightened up on Seema, the character, because of this episode. I think that the direction that they are taking with Adam, the arm digger, in this episode, when I get to part 2, has really endeared me to both of them, and I'll explain later. I feel that if they had done this with her way before, I think that her character would have done a lot better, and I would have been more endearing to her. But we'll get into that shortly. I'm focusing on this because it is interconnected to something that irked the living crap out of me with Carrie. And this one I'm going to go off on. So stay tuned for that, because this is going to be good. The next thing we have is Carrie and Seema sitting in a restaurant drinking martinis. And Seema is expressing to Carrie about the situation with her and Adam's mom, who had passed away from cancer when he was 20. I don't know what his age is supposed to be here in this series. I'm guessing he should be either late 30s, early 40s. So we're talking about a good time that has passed by. And Seema's concerned because he may have mommy issues, and we'll talk about that. And Carrie says, well, what is she like? And Seema says she passed away. And Carrie says, well, I don't see a problem with that unless her body is still in the home. It's not dead family that's the issue. It's living family that's the real threat. Pause. Here's my thoughts. Did you hear what you said out loud? That living family is the real threat? And I say, did you hear this? Not just as the viewer or me telling you this. I'm speaking to the writers, the executive producers, SJP and Michael Patrick Ding Dong. Why would you say that? What does that mean? That living family is the real threat. Do you know how stupid you fucking sound? Do you know how many people would wish that they had living family? And I'm not talking about people, there are family that are out there. And when I say out there, not in a good way. I would admit, some people are scary. Some family are scary. You can choose your friends, but you can't choose your family. We all know that. Okay? I'm talking about the people who have family and have lost family. And I'm not going to get into my personal ones, okay? Because we're not going to do the waterworks here. Because this is a rage bait right now. I'm not even rage baiting. I'm pissed off. Because her reaction, instead of saying, and I want to be clear on this, Adam was her gardener, who turned into somewhat of an acquaintance. I wouldn't say friend, but good enough to invite him to the birthday party she was having for Charlotte in her home. Even if that didn't happen, this guy is having a relationship with who you have a friendship, Seema, who you've replaced Samantha with, okay, who is dating him, which means at some point, if all goes well, you will be seeing Adam again. This is not a guy that's a fly-by-night ding-dong, okay? And your reaction, instead of saying, oh my God, I feel so bad for him. That must have been really rough. How did he take it? Having an intelligent conversation with emotion and depth, that would be my reaction. I would be like, wow, I didn't know that about him. And make a mental note to myself that the next time I see him, that I will either, I'm so sorry about your mom, I heard about that. Shit. When you guys went into my comments and some of you had told me about your loss after I opened up briefly about my sister's loss, moved me so much. And even if I had not lost my sister, I have lost my grandmother, I have lost my mother, I have lost my uncle, I have lost my sister. And even if I've never suffered any of those losses, because I know this for a fact, before any of them passed away, my first innate reaction is to say, I'm so sorry for your loss. And I mean it from the heart. Okay? Whoever wrote this and allowed this, and Sarah Jessica Parker said it out loud as her character, goes to my point. You're aging como un bruja fea. And that's the translation of the day for this video. Un bruja fea is an ugly witch. And that's what she looks like. From the inside of her soul, if you believe in that, is translating outward. And I try very hard not to discuss the looks of the women that are on this show. As far as whether you want to get Botox, surgery, whatever the hell it is, you do you. You do you. Okay? But now, after what she said, you still want to defend her? You still want to tell me that I was not even remotely slightly right in my last episode discussing Carrie? Now, I will make a correction here. I want people to understand that my rant on Carrie and Aiden and how she handled it gave no free pass to Aiden at all. I just focused on Carrie because remember, this is Carrie's show and we're all just squirrels trying to get a nut. But please make no mistake, Aiden was an asshole. Because I suspect from the way they were writing it, it was always the intention to make it as he was, which was, he was wrong. I don't agree that she was right in the way she handled Duncan and Aiden in the garden. I'm sorry, I'm not backing down on that. That is your man. And regardless, you put your foot down. You don't make him look like an idiot. You reprimand him if you want after the fact. That's fine. She didn't even get up and kiss him after she was walking out of the garden. She had already at that point, like I said, made the decision that she wasn't going to be with Aiden. Okay? But Aiden is what I told you. It's a maniacal psychopath. He came there with a mission. Doesn't matter if his kid decided to move to his ex-wife, Kathy. He came there with a mission. He went into this relationship already wounded from the previous battle. You get me? And whatever they try to tell us as far as the growth of their relationship, where she decided to proclaimed that she thought big was a big mistake, Aiden may have not started off as an agenda to get back, but when he told her about Kathy and him sleeping with her, why? Why? Why'd you tell her that? Why did you feel the need to tell her that? That was an agenda. He wanted to get a reaction out of her. He had not seen Duncan yet, but he was wounded from the previous battle. Okay? And the way that it ended up where he was somewhat interrogating Duncan, sure, that's insecurity. Those are wounds. He felt it from Carrie. He knew something was wrong with her. He knew that this could be a possibility. He still dragged that energy from his whole trauma back into the scene where they were outside at the last episode. And, he thought this was going to work out. And I said it, I don't know how. And the expectation of her not having sex for 5 years, yet he tells her that he had sex with Kathy? No. Aiden was wrong. Aiden was wrong. But they both were. Because she trampled her way up to the farm, uninvited, to be close to him. It was always about we and us and the furniture and when you're coming and then here's the key and you can come anytime and I love you and all this shit. The second that the family was a threat is when she had made the conscious decision she don't want anything to do with him anymore. The fact that after they talked about their plan and he confessed about Kathy, they have sex. You remember that? Now, I'm not judging anyone. I'm telling you what I would have done. First of all, I would have kicked him in the balls. I don't give a shit what the fuck happened 20 years ago. Excuse my language. You came into this, you knew what you knew, because you know and I know that we both know what the hell happened. Okay? You confessed to me about Kathy, the drug requester, made her a mule. Okay? She knows Kathy. She sat down with Kathy. She's had conversations with Kathy. She met Bob, the boyfriend, Stepford husband, right? She's been with the kids. She's been on the farm, right? All of this is happening. And the second that she realized that the situation with the son, the Manson child, happened, she checked out because she has no family. I have yet to understand her family dynamic. It was only one episode in Sex and the City where she kind of told a bit of a story on her father. And that's it. I don't know. I don't know if she has siblings. I don't know where her parents are. We never really know about Carrie's life. That goes for most of them, except for Miranda, that we know that she had a mom and a sister. And we know Charlotte had a brother who was MIA for every other episode after that one episode with him and Samantha. So that's Miranda. Samantha did mention that her mother was straddled with 3 or 4 kids at the age that she was. So we don't get into too much depth. Family was never the core centralized information of this Sex and the City because they rarely collected the girls to be each other's family. I got that. I know that. I feel that. Okay? That is why I navigated to the original series because I had a group of girls that we were in that same position. Right? Even though I do have family and I love them. But I got it. Right? I didn't believe any of the stories that happened in Sex and the City. My girlfriends would laugh. I pretty much watched Sex and the City also because I know this might sound like a little bit of a shock, but I was the nerdy one in the group. I was the one that would be watching all of the science fiction and the comics and the Batman and Star Trek. Little secret, little get to know me, getting to know me, getting to know all about me. I am a Trekkie. Hardcore. But we'll get into that later. None of my friends watched any of these damn shows. None of them. They all watched Sex and the City and they all looked at me like, why do you watch that? I'm like, I don't know, because I like it. So it was also a bonding experience, but make no mistake, none of us believed any of those storylines. First of all, Sex and the City wasn't realistic. That is not what I watched it for. I didn't watch it for Samantha getting her hump on every episode, or seeing her naked, or seeing her the men. I didn't watch it for all of the ridiculous storylines that were happening. I didn't even buy Big. I still stand on my laurels that Big was an abuser. And Carrie loved it. What I did watch it for was the love between the girls, because regardless of the storylines, be that as it may, there was something about it that resonated with me and my friends, because we had each other's back. There was no doubt about it. Me and my nerdiness, my girlfriend who questionable, my other one was very questionable, and another one that was a little scary. But no one threw anyone under the bus. And if anyone tried to take a bus and ram through us, we're going to give some ass kicking, okay? That is what I saw in Sex and the City. Those tender moments between friends. This, if I had thought about it back then, this series brought into light how I really felt about Carrie, because I never really resonated with Carrie. I actually never resonated with any of the characters. I don't see myself as Samantha, Charlotte, Miranda, any of that. I don't. I truly don't. I respected each one of the characters, but I never really got that one from them. Okay? That scene ties into exactly what I've been trying to tell you guys. When you look at it from a different lens, and the whole aging and the whole bullshit writing, and that line, now, you could agree to disagree, and I love everyone's comments, whether you think that you're not agreeing with me, I'm okay with that. Mama, papa, papito, mamita, I'm good. As long as you do it respectfully and you don't attack me, we can have an open dialogue. I've actually thought about some of the comments that were made, and I said, okay, maybe that angle I can understand. And not to you guys, because I love you guys. I felt it, I sensed it, and now I am confirmed that ella bruja fea. I'm talking about Sarah Jessica Parker. So, bruja fea, send me your translation down below, because now we're going to get into the second sequence of this conversation, which I found very fascinating. Don't go away. So after Carrie has made her proclamation about family being alive is the real threat, she goes on to tell Seema that she has to go home because she has the writing session with Duncan, and Seema says, could there be more? Because she seems to be really getting along. This time she doesn't jump down her freaking throat like she did with Miranda. And Carrie says that she has this admiration for Duncan because he sees her differently than other men has ever seen her in her life. She says, yes, I've been told I'm pretty. Whatever. But no one's ever thought of me as smart first. And Seema's like, okay, that's very humbling. She goes, I'm not trying to be, I don't remember the word she used, bragging, I think is what she said. She goes, it's very limiting when men only see you as pretty and cute and not smart first. Sure, I can understand that. And no man has ever seen her big, hidden. Because if you really think about it, neither one of them has ever really talked about her writing prowess. Whatever 7 books she's writing about, 6, because I think the 7th was about Big and the love that was lost. I could understand that, though she asked to be with Big. I can see Aiden not really delving into what she does because he's, the farmer, the country boy, maniacally. That was the word I was trying to use. And everybody in between. I could understand that. I don't have those problems. Because, I'm not, a bathing beauty. But that doesn't bother me. You can find me attractive. You cannot find me attractive. It's the eye of the beholder, right? It can go either way. Because I know a lot of men, I've heard a lot of men do not find Sarah Jessica Parker attractive. Now, I've never not found her to be unattractive. She just looks like a typical skinny, blonde, white woman that I've seen 100 million times before. With great clothes when it's done right and shoes. Right? So there's nothing outstanding to her, for me. Right? But I'm a woman as well. And I can appreciate a beautiful woman. Okay? I can. So I found that out to be an interesting perspective because she feels that Duncan sees her for her writing, her smartness. No, he doesn't. Nena, por favor. Por favor. He wants to have sex with you. He's doing everything in his power to get you into his bed. And she is so still stupid because she's 60 and you can't see that? Really? And she's so enamored with him that she's just grateful that after everything that, all the other men have not seen her for, that this man is using her weakness, which is people finding her smart first. Tell me what you want. I don't care. Because you know what happens at the end of this episode, right? It's coming. So that's the ending scene with her and Seema at the restaurant. And we will get back to that scene because there is an important factor that happens with Seema that ties into this scene. But let's focus on Carrie. Mm-hmm. The next scene you have is her and Duncan again in her home. He is waiting for her downstairs in, I guess, one of the rooms. And she's upstairs futzing around with the printer because I guess they're going to read more chapters. And she's taking too long. So then he is yelling up the stairs or yelling through the living room. I guess it's very thin walls. What are you doing? What's going on? How can I help you? I'm putting in my words. And he starts to proceed that he's going to come up the stairs, the castle wall, to see what is happening. And have you noticed that she has furniture now? She's got a lamp. I told you. She got a lamp. That's all I wanted. She has more furniture now. But I saw the lamp. If you've been watching my videos, you know I've been asking for a freaking lamp. So she apparently has furnished her home. I don't know if it's fully furnished, but it is furnished. As he proceeds up the stairs and he tries to help her with the printer, which is the IT equivalent of calling the IT department and they tell you, well, did you unplug it and plug it? Which is the resolution for 90% of all the issues with all these technological advancements we have. He does that. And then he notices that the room that they're in, that's her writing room and that where she writes is in front of the window, and he makes a quick remark saying, I see you are writing in front of a window. I write in front of a wall so I can bang my head against it. Again, I feel that he's very lighthearted here, and he's become more open, aka he's showing his, real true self, because he's going to be wanting to sleep with her. Mm-hmm. As he says, this is a beautiful room. Sure. He notices the hallway closet that is the same hallway closet of her original apartment, and all the beautiful dresses. And he's making comment, do you wear all these dresses? And they're going back and forth. Oh, well, people in New York actually go out. And he's like, I can't believe that. This all leads into, she wants to show him her real room. They walk off into another room, and it's the room where she keeps all her shoes. Now, I don't know about you, but does it seem like she has less shoes? I feel like from the closet that she had with Big to the room that she has, it seems a bit smaller, and he's so dazzled by the sparkle of sparkling. Oh my God. And she calls them her girls. Again, when you have no physical family to love other than a cat, of course you call your inanimate objects family, girls, whatever it is. You have no life. Sorry. Ooh, this woman just irritates the shit out of me. Okay. And he's so dazzled by the sparkle. He picks up one of the shoes. And I just need to ask men out there who are watching this by any chance, and watching that and watching me, do you guys get really impressed by the shoes? I know people in general have a foot fetish, and I know men do have shoe fetishes, because they're men who create these shoes that are torture devices for most of us women. Let's get real. They are. Okay. But the way he reacted about these silver shoes, and he's like speaking to it. Oh, what's that? Are you upset because I didn't let your mommy use you and go out and blah, 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 blah. And hey, I want to invite you to a party. It's his publishing party, or a publishing party. It's not his publishing party. And he doesn't want to go alone. So he invites her, and she hesitates at first and asks, how much are you going to pay me to do this? And he says, whatever you want. And she says, write the check. I'll go with you. I have to tell you, she's very skilled. Can I do that? Can you write me a check? How do you do that? How does that work? Tell me. I'm learning. I'm learning from Carrie. The bruja fea. And now we get into the second interconnected relationship part, where now it's going to be with her and Charlotte, which I will get into that one in part 2 about what the hell is happening with Charlotte again. Don't go away. Now let's get into the conversation with Carrie and Charlotte about Duncan the Hobbit, because that was very enlightening as well. I was very enlightened. I know that all of them may have more money than me, and will continuously have more money than me. I will never be as rich as these people, whether it's the writers, the cast members. I know that. But you know what? I have a good heart. My soul is just fine. Okay? I know that I'm not going into the dark place. I have love for people. I have empathy. Even to you subscribers, who I don't want to call subscribers anymore. Okay? We're building a community. I can rest if, God forbid, something happens to me, that my soul will be okay. You could have all the money in the world. You could be the skinniest bitch in the world. You could have the worst fake blonde freaking hair this bitch has in her head. Okay? You could walk around with all the townhouses with your husband, who I don't believe that you have a happy relationship. I don't give a shit what you say. You could do all of that. You could leave this legacy that you have left. You could do all of that. But at the end of the day, and when I literally mean at the end of your day, are you happy? Do you feel good? Do you feel that you're going to be off in a better place? If she can say yes to that, good for you. You're in denial, but good for you. Let's get into Charlotte and Carrie. So the next scene we have is Charlotte stopping by Carrie's home because she is on a Zoom energy cleanse. Now we will speak about this. And because she will have an arc-ish, and she stopped off at Carrie's because she couldn't have the original Zoom energy cleanse at her home because of whatever's happening over there. She thanked Carrie for letting her use her home, which is quiet because Carrie has no love and no friends other than Duncan, the Hobbit, and the cat. And she is talking to Carrie. She notices that there's a Vivienne Westwood dress hanging, and she asks, "Hey, where are you going with that? It's a beautiful dress. It's a special dress." And Carrie proceeds to tell her that she's invited to a publishing thing. She doesn't outward say that it's Duncan yet. And she goes, "Wow, that's really special." And then Carrie kind of tells her, not kind of, she does tell her, "Well, I was invited by Duncan." And Charlotte looks up, "Oh, that's nice." And Carrie is trying to retract the fact that she feels guilty that she was defensive towards Miranda, because she tells Charlotte that she's a little concerned that if she goes to this party, that it's more than what it should be, which is just the two of them in a writing group. And Charlotte is like, well, and she tells her, "I will never hear the end of it if Miranda finds out we're together." And Charlotte's like, "Well, what the hell does Miranda have to do with this?" And that's when she proceeds to tell her that Miranda approached her after her birthday party, indicating that there seems to be more to Duncan and Carrie. And she was very defensive, and that Aiden thought that there was something between her and Duncan. And Charlotte is like, "Well, is there?" And, Carrie is like, why does there have to be something more? Why can't it just be about the writing? And then she retrospectively looks into herself and she says, "I don't want to go there. I don't know if I want to go there with him." And Charlotte tells her, "Well, that's up to you, what you want to do. It's not up to Miranda. It's not up to Aiden, who you know that you were true to him and that you did the best you could. And it really is your choice, not my choice, not Miranda's, and not Aiden's, and fuck Miranda." I can say a lot of things about my friends, but I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't. I don't know why that line irked me from Charlotte. I'm like, fuck Miranda. This is your friend. You don't, I mean, yeah, you can make the comment that, hey, it's not her business to be in your business, but really, if I heard one of my friends say to my other friends, fuck Lena, ooh, them are fighting words. We don't do that. We don't even let other people tell us that. I can't explain why this bothers me so much. I don't know if I'm saying it outward properly, but just something, my hair stood up and I'm like, Charlotte, go get your cleanse. Do whatever the hell you're doing. Keep being in your hippy dippy fantasy land. I don't know what the fuck is going on with her. I'm cursing a lot in this video, and I do apologize. I don't want to come off this way. I don't have a New Yorker potty mouth like everybody expects me to have. But this show brings the worst out of me. Next scene we have is she's getting ready to go to the publishing party, and the outfit that she's wearing, I do like that outfit. I have to say something about this in general. The outfits in this episode were a lot better than I've seen in any of these seasons. I don't know who did it, It could have been like I told you, the people that were originally doing this maybe are out to lunch and these are the people that are replacing them. But they were pretty decent, even for LTW, which we'll get into. I was like, whoa. So this is more of a business attire and it's totally my aesthetics. I really liked it. I was like, yeah, I can see myself in that. I would have not worn black shoes. I would have styled it up with something more colorful, but I liked it. I don't believe that it was proper to go to a publishing, which is why she stops herself mid-stair, well, as she's going down the stairs. And the next scene you see her is walking through to the party, and she's in the Vivienne Westwood outfit, which I feel like I've seen a rendition on this a few times on her. I can't explain it. It's not ugly. It just seems, I feel like I've seen this style on her. You know, again, it wasn't ugly. It's just, I don't know. It was something basic. I mean, it was nice, right? The great shoes and all that. Beautiful walk into the party. And let's get into the creme de la creme of this entire episode, which made me start off by saying, I told you so. I told you so. I told you so. Stay tuned. We see Duncan with a woman next to him that, for me, first jarring thing was she seems awfully close to him. I think her name is Imogen. I want to say that's her name. By the way, it's a beautiful name. British. They have this repertoire between them. Sort of closeness that you know that it's a little bit more than what a publisher would be. She is asking if the Margaret Thatcher book is done, and he is like, no. And she turns, as they're doing this little talking, Carrie walks in, and she turns around. She goes, oh my God, Carrie Bradshaw. What is she wearing? It's absolutely beautiful. How and why is she here? We've been trying to get her here all this time. And I don't have a British accent and I can't do one. So I'm sorry. I don't mean to offend all my beautiful UK British people. I love you. Please don't take offense to this because I just don't have it. And Duncan says, she asks, what the hell is she doing here? And Duncan says, I invited her. And this woman turns to say, how do you know Carrie? And he says, she's my upstairs neighbor. And her face was like, okay. He walks over to Carrie. He says that she cleans up well. And she's like, okay, where's my payment? I still don't understand this. And I don't take crypto. And I don't take the other phony baloney forms of payment, which is pounds. Listen. Come here. For all you people that utilize pounds as your currency, get her. Get her. Don't worry. I'll be right behind you. I got your back. I got your back, Jack. Get her. What the hell was that? What do you mean phony currency? Pounds is still a thing, right? Not in the United States, obviously, but have they done away with pounds and I'm not aware of it? I am so sorry. If it is, then maybe what her comment was actually valid. But I don't think so. She's trying to be funny and she's an idiot. Okay? She's an idiot savant. All right? I still don't like her. At all. At all. So they're going to this whole repertoire. And the next scene you have is that she's standing with Duncan with the other woman that Duncan was with. And we come to find out that this happens to be not only his publisher, but his ex-wife. That explains the closeness that they had when they were standing together. And I was like, is this going to be the girlfriend? I didn't understand what the thing was going on there. I guess this is the ex-wife that he was mentioning to Aiden, that they didn't have children and they're still friends, which is great. And that the whole situation was just very weird. And she's like, oh, I understand you're helping Duncan with the Iron Lady and yada, yada, yada. And he's helping me, yada, yada, yada. And you know, the British woman, Imogen, I want to say that's her name, and forgive me if I'm saying it incorrectly, says that he was very good at keeping deadlines, but he couldn't remember our anniversary. And then he turns to her and says, well, there's a first time for everything. I need an extension on the book because I'm late. And then she says, well, we will discuss this next week when you're in London. So we know that he's leaving. Because remember, the 6-month plan, he's leaving. Okay. And then she gives her card to Carrie that if you ever need a publisher, I'm here. Sure. That's it. That's all we got. And then he asks Carrie, hey, can we go somewhere where we can actually eat? Can we get the hell out of here? Because he's just uncomfortable with the whole scenario. But just so you understand that it's the first time that he's realizing that many people, not just in New York, people out from New York, know who Carrie is in this publishing literary world. He's a little impressed. And I say this again. Really? You did not look up Carrie at all? Mm-mm. Not buying it. Okay? You're a smart cookie. She's a ding-dong. You be smart. Manipulative. Fun. But I know you know. I don't know what all this... Oh, well, of course I do. He's trying to flirt with her. Ay, 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 señora. So, the next scene you have... Are you ready? They're walking up to their home because it's their home. Let's be realistic. And they're chit-chatting. And I noticed something right away. As they stop in front of the stoop and he's complimenting her, saying, oh my God, Carrie, you, I found out today, are a thing. You're a thing. You're well known. You're amazing. You're this, you're that. I noticed that the 1970 shirt with it being open, I can't explain it, but I was like, what you doing? What's happening? Because I didn't like the suit that he was wearing at all. I thought it was just really not well done for him. I thought he could have been better dressed. But he took off the jacket and it was just like you could see the little slit and he's like, you're amazing. Okay. And she's like, no, 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 no. You're amazing. You're amazing. I think that you're amazing. This goes on. And I'm just like, are you just gonna like do it right here on the stoop? Are you gonna make it up the stairs? Because I was expecting clothes to be flying off. At this point, I was like, oh my God, what the hell? And when she tells him that he is amazing, his face changed. And he's like, hey, baby, would you like to come downstairs? And to be clear, I am done writing. Translation, let's go have some sex because I don't need to rewrite your book anymore. And I'm finally getting to a point where I can tell you my real true intention was to sleep with you. Did you all get that translation too? Or was it just me? Because that's what I saw, heard, and saw. That face? Yeah, baby. And I was kind of impressed because Carrie was like, yeah. I was like, oh. I mean, not ho. Like, oh. She's not going to do it. She's going to reserve herself. She's going to make him wait for whatever time he's leaving next week. And he's like, okay. And he is going down his stairs and he's looking at her like, damn it, so close. And she goes up the stairs and I was like, okay, this is going to end. And in a New York minute, she turns around, Duncan, and she's running down her stairwell. And all of a sudden you just see him, she crashes into him and more of this because Carrie humped the Hobbit, as what I said before was going to happen. it was this, it was not, listen, I don't know if there's a finite amount of sexual tension scenes that Sarah Jessica Parker is supposed to have with any one given character, because they got deeper with Aiden than she did with this scene, because the next scene you have, and I didn't find it sexy at all. I'm not going to lie to you. I was like, they're not even trying to kiss. Sure. I mean, maybe somebody else found it attractive and tension, but it was all right. The next thing you have, they're in bed. That's it. They had sex. We got nothing. Nothing. No slow motion, anything. Nothing. And they're just talking. And I'm like, what? That's it? Did he rock your world? Did you rock his world? All I know is that for some strange reason, he takes out from an ashtray, and if anyone can explain this to me, I didn't understand what he was smoking. I really believe that he was smoking one of those funny cigarettes. I don't want to say the word because I don't want to get too banned on YouTube. You know. I didn't look at it as I thought it was a cigar. It could have been a cigar. I don't know if anybody actually captured that, and was it a funny cigarette or a version of a cigar? It didn't look like a cigarette. So then he offered, and the way he puffed it in, I was like, so we know that he has done cocaine, and possibly this is a funny cigarette. And he offered a little bit for her to take, and she didn't want any. And he goes on to tell her that something about the sheets, and that the next rental people hopefully will have better sheets. He tells her that I'm not trying to tell you who you can and cannot sleep with. Again, I'm not following any of this because I'm just still in shock that I just didn't see anything other than what I'm looking at right now. And that he tells her, this was a charity case, saying that he gave her one. And she comes back, well, I take what I can get. Oh, Carrie, ever the abused. Even though it was supposed to be funny, it's true. And he's insinuating that he's leaving. And she picked up on that subtext. So this was a one night, one and done kind of thingy. They finally got the fever. I got the fever out. And I was just like so bored because I was like, I don't, what? And then he tells her that, I want to say he says you're amazing, or she says something to him about being a writer. You're such a writer. And he goes up to her and, darling, you're such a writer too. And then they kiss, and I guess they have sex again, which we don't see again. And then that's it. The next scene you have is her sitting in her garden, which, by the way, we haven't gotten the official tour yet. All of the Adam Arm Digger work that he did, it looks different. It's a lot of potted plants. I don't know if the rats are going to come back. And she's just sitting there in her garden knowing that Aiden. Ooh, Freudian slip. Duncan has now left. So I'm guessing that it's a week later. And she's doing some sort of narration. And I am so sorry. I don't remember what she said in the narration because I'm just looking around. I'm like, is the garden done? Duncan's gone. We didn't get any sex scenes. I don't know what that was. And that's it. Duncan got his habit on. Carrie humped the habit. Pick one. Whatever one you want. It's over. She finally got what she needed, which was some UK love. I'm gonna keep with the puns, people, because I just was not impressed by this at all. I was not shocked because I've been telling you there was an ulterior motive, and that is why she was treating Aiden like shit. She had made the decision that she was going to sleep with this guy way before, because we are women. We're not stupid. Okay? We know what we know. Because her protesting to Charlotte in that little scene, oh my God. I don't know why people have to insist that it needs to be more than writing. Thou protestest too much. That's the saying. Thou protest too much. Honey, you had your flurries going on from a long time ago. You just were in a complicated situation with Aiden. And now, that little maniacal witch look that she gave him after she hugged him, I told you, she was like, yes, free, free as a bird. Now, again, you can disagree with me. I love it. If you now agree with me when you previously disagreed with me, let me know. I'm okay with that too. If you never saw this coming and you were shocked, how? And I love you all. You have been very, even the people who have disagreed, you have been very respectful, and I appreciate that. I truly do. And I love it. And I think that it builds the community. I can't have, we have to be open to everyone's opinion respectfully and enjoy the conversation. I appreciate it. Okay. So this is one of my better episodes. I enjoyed it a little bit more because of the other things that happened. And it was one of the other ones that I was like, yeah, okay, sure. But on a scale of, I don't know, I don't want to give it 1 to 10. I tolerated this one more. That's it. And let's get into the nuts and cruts of this. Okay. Because my second part is going to be a little bit longer because I am going to add some other things that I want to talk about. So I'm going to just state this. The show's been canceled. And thank you to the viewers that pointed it out to me, because I was so involved into the video of this that I didn't realize this, because I had a different opening for this and I had a different ending. But it's official. They're not coming back for another season. And apparently, Michael Patrick King kind of sort of knew this, which is BS for sure, and that he wrote that this should be ending this way, and that he didn't want to tell anybody because he didn't want to ruin some crap of whatever of the fans. What fans? I don't buy it for a second. And the only way that I would even remotely believe him is that we need to see how they end the next 2 episodes, which is supposed to be a 2-parter, I believe, or the last episode would be a 2-parter. Okay. Now, what I expect that there is going to be a tie-in and close-up of chapters. If they leave it in any way, shape, or form to be open-ended, then he never intended for this to be over. He wanted to get at least 1 more season out of this. That was what I understood, that they were gunning for 1 more season. So how he knew this was going to end and how he was going to write it, unless they came back and refilmed this, my understanding, this was filmed already. But we'll get into my theories of how I want it to end after I do part 2, because that's going to be fun. We're going to have fun. So in this vid, part 1, Carrie and the Hobbit. Translation for this video, Bruja Fea. That's an ugly witch. Drop your comments down below. I am going to be finishing up my other comments. I do apologize. I was late. And if there are any other Star Trek fans out there, let me know. Because when we are finished with this debacle, I want to propose something to everyone that's out there. I have to go on a little rant on the new Star Trek Strange New Worlds. And I've been holding back my tongue for the last 3 seasons. But this last episode, I almost lost it. And I don't know how much far-reaching I will get with my beautiful 922 subs that I have now. Maybe none of you even watch Star Trek or are interested in it. But if you are, let me know so I can mentally prepare my rant, because I'm going to go off again. So, part 2 should be coming up shortly. I have to upload this and edit and all that. But I do it because I love you. So I want you, for part 1, to have a beautiful, blessed day. Thank you. Goodbye. Mwah.